Good morning. This is lesson 5-1. Today we are going to be learning about decomposing fractions and mixed numbers. So, on these problems here, we're going to write an equation to show each fraction as the sum of unit fractions. First, I want to show you guys what a unit fraction is. So, a unit fraction is a numerator of 1, any fraction with a numerator of 1. So for example, I will write a few unit fractions. So 1 over 4 would be a unit fraction. 1 over 2 would be a unit fraction. 1 over 5 would be a unit fraction. 1 over 8, even 1 over 100. So any number that has a 1 on top, which is the numerator, so fractions with a numerator of 1 are called unit fractions. And over here on the side are some example of unit fractions. Now, I'm going to talk about what it means to decompose a fraction. And so, to decompose a fraction means that we are going to split it up into unit fractions. So, for example, let me show you what we're going to do. So, number 1 says that it is 5/12. So, we're going to show this as unit fractions. How you're going to do that is you're going to write 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12 plus 1 over 12. So all that you're doing there is decomposing, which means breaking it up. So I broke 5/12 into 5 different unit fractions. And remember, unit fractions are fractions with a numerator of 1. So all of these here are unit fractions. And I decomposed it by adding 1 over 12 5 times. That is how you decompose a fraction. All right. Now let's try the next one together again. So we have 4/100. I want you to think of yourself. How are we going to split this up into unit fractions? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100 plus 1 over 100. So what I did here is I decomposed 4/100 by using unit fractions of 1 over 100 to equal 4/100. And this up here equaled 5/12. So that is how you decompose a fraction using unit fractions. All right, so what we're going to do here is decompose 7/10 into a sum of fractions within the same denominator in 3 different ways on this screen and the next. Record each decomposition with an equation and justify each one by shading parts of the circle. Okay, so the equation we have here is 5/10 plus 2/10 equals 7/10. And so what we did here is we used 5/10, which they shaded in dark blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the first one. I'll draw a little arrow so you guys can see it. It went over here. And the 2/10 they shaded in light blue over here. And if we add all these together, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7/10. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to break up 7/10 another way. And so, you can do this your way, and I'm going to give you an example, but if you know of a different way, then that's okay. All right, so let's try this first one together. So I'm thinking in my head how I want to break 7/10 up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use red. I'm going to use red to show 2 pieces. So there's 2/10. Okay. I'm going to use blue to show another 2/10. I'm going to use green to show another 2/10. So right now, altogether, I have 6/10 because 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. But I want it to be 7/10, so I need to show one more. So plus. And I'm going to use yellow to show 1/10. Plus 1/10. And that equals 7/10. Oops, I went off the page a little bit. That equals 7/10. So if I look at this page right here, I have 2/10, which is my red pieces, another 2/10, which are these blue pieces, another 2/10, which are these green pieces, and 1/10, which is my yellow piece. And if I add these all together, I get 7/10, just like over here in the example. Alrighty, let's go on to the next page to see how we can break it up a couple more times. Alright, so we're going to decompose 7/10 into 2 different ways again. And so I'm going to show another way of thinking for me. And like I said, if you think of a different way at home, feel free to go ahead and do it that way. You don't have to do it exactly how I am. This is just an example for you guys. Alright, so this time, I'm just going to use 2 different colors to decompose it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color in 6 pieces for my first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I get 6/10 here. And then I'm going to do just one more piece, and I'm going to do that in blue. So plus 1/10. And if I add 6/10 plus 1/10, I still get 7/10. Which I used a unit fraction to do one of them, remember? Because the unit fraction is when the numerator is only 1. So I used a unit fraction on this example and the one before, if you can remember. Alright, let's try one more. Alright, so I'm going to break this one up into 3 different colors. So for my first one, I'm just going to go ahead and get that one out of the way. So I'm going to use red to shade in one piece. So I'm going to go ahead and write my fraction. 1/10. And then I'm going to add use blue this time. And I'm going to color in 4 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So then I have 4/10. And now, so I have 5 altogether. And so with my green, I still need 2 more pieces. I'm going to shade in 2 more. So I'm going to go ahead and write that as a fraction. Write 2 over 10. And that's going to equal altogether 7/10. Alrighty. So what we just did is we decomposed 7/10 into a sum of fractions with the same denominator in 3 different ways. So remember, when you're recording a decomposition, to always use the addition signs